Shalom, one of souls by giving no praise to Yahweh, Bashem Yahshua, Bashem Kakudash. Double honors to the apostles of great millstone, and honors you brothers doing the work the most on truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's raw name of whom the world ignorantly calls God Jehovah Yahweh. His raw name is Yahweh. His son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh Ba Hashem, Yahshua Ba meaning in, Ha meaning that, and Sham meaning names Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Real quick, this one is a story I've heard before, but it came up again, and wanted to kind of touch on it real quick, right? And I'm gonna get a few precepts before I get into the lesson because Jake, get simple sometimes. They think that because then you like we as you've seen over the years of reprobates, I will then start, yeah, you apostles, you going off, do this, just being demons, right? Which is which kind of the spirit I'm trying to push out. This is very much more so for these other camps, right, where their leaders are just straight going off, right, and are basically leading them to their destruction, and they're just blindly following them, right. And the reason why I'm tying it to this, we'll get into it real quick, right? Because when I first read about this, the first time I was like, yo, shit, that's like them, people that are in camps, right, where the leaders are straight teaching nonsense, but the people, they don't question anything, and then it leads to what? Their death, right? So basically between, I forget the years, but for a while, right, Korea had several airline crashes, right? They had like significantly more plane crashes than than was to be expected. It was like, yo, what the hell, right? Tried getting another article, kind of touching it, but this one, kind of just hit the point more or less, right? And basically, it came down to this. It came down to in basic Korean culture, right? I think they've named it as what did they name it? High power distance. That's what they named it as, right? So it's like there's mad respect for your elders, and that's once again not trying to push no spirit of rebellion or whatever what have you, because Jake will get simple. Right, Jake will get simple and be like, "Oh, no." There's ways of communicating, right? These ways of dealing, right? But this is very much, once again, very much more so for these other camps, right? Where like their leaders are just blatantly going off. If you read the scriptures, you would see that this is going off, and they're not going to science, but hey, hey, respectfully, I see this, can I ask a bit more, some understanding, whatever, what have you, okay. So this is let's read this, right. It says nearing the end of the 90s, Korean Air had more plane crashes than almost any other airline around the globe. Cockpit miscommunication has been a persistent factor in these accidents. For example, the Korean Air Flight 801 crash was attributed to the pilot's decision to land despite the junior officer's disagreement, right? Evidence of high power distance, a culture that denotes a heavily hierarchical cis society. Gladwell argues that this innate behavior, deep reverence towards elders and superiors, highly contributes to cockpit miscommunication, especially on planes designed to be flown by two equals, right? Because in a plane, right, yeah, you got the first pilot or whatever have you, but the second, is very much there to be like, yo, dude, like, what you do? Like, you gonna get us all killed, right? It says unsurprisingly, it's been found that the safest airlines are often from countries whose cultures do not value strict hierarchies. Now, once again, in Korea, right, this is like this is embedded in their culture. It's like, even as you have with other cultures as well, in other languages where you use a different language, if you not even language, different set of words when referring to people that are older than you. For instance, another thing, if you're not the same age, you can't technically call that person your friend, right? You have to use a always remember this one. If you're a male and you're referring to an older female, you'd say Nuna, right? You wouldn't call her your friend. Now, obviously, people aren't that rigid or whatever have you, but if you want to get technical, that's what their culture is, right? So once again, what would happen was they would basically the so-called younger individual, the subordinate, right, basically wouldn't press and be like, yo, I actually think this is wrong, to the end that the plane crashes, right? Now, what plane crash are these other camps heading in? They're heading in that plane crash of towards destruction, man. Right, that MOTB, right? Not not speaking about the name of the Lord, saying they don't know what the name of the Lord is, despite the multitude of precepts that says, nah, you kind of got to know the name of the Lord. Okay, right, so many different examples where these different camps and different leaderships are just blatantly going off, and the congregation is just blindly following, right? And once again, using this as an example of just agreeing, right, when something is very evidently wrong. Right, the junior officer was correct. The junior officer was like, "Yo, we shouldn't do this." The junior was like, look, we shouldn't do this, right? And at some point you got to be like, and in this instance, he should have been like, look, man, we shouldn't do this, right? But they didn't follow. Now I'm gonna start off in this regard because once again, Jake gets simple, right? And then Jake doesn't want to will hear this and don't want to, or think that we're saying you got to be, rebellious towards, the people that are above you. No, not at all, right? And one of the things when you hear us start lessons here at Great Millstone, right, we give, double honors to our apostles, right, because we believe that everything that they're telling us is truth, right, is inspired of by the Most High, right? Not only do we believe it, but as one of the precepts I'm going to get later on, right, is we verify it, right? And in the spirit, it sits right. We hear what the apostles saying. We read the precepts. We link it up. So, oh, yeah, that lines up. You know, even to the point where the spirit will be working. And which will hold our camp. Then you'll be watching the apostles in the evening, and the apostles or the elders or whoever it is, right? The spirit will have it whereby they be speaking on the same things, bringing out the same precepts. Okay, and that's the spirit working, right? So this is the first bit. I'm gonna start off here, right? So 1 Timothy 5:17, let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine. And man, our apostles have labored, man. They have labored in this thing, right? The elders, the bishops, okay, even the men that have set up this camp, right? Here in London, obviously not to the same level, right, as the elders, the bishops and the apostles, right? Obviously not, but even the challenges that they had to go through, setting up the camp, right? It's things where it's like Brak the Shemi Shai for these men, right? That the Lord has set up over us, okay? So that's it, right? In 2 Timothy 3:14, but continue down the things which thou hast learnt and has been assured of. Let's look into this word here, assured, right? To assure, right? To make faithful, render trustworthy, right? And to be firmly persuaded of, be assured, right? And the only way to be firmly persuaded, right, is to go and confirm it yourself, okay? To read these precepts, and because the scriptures tell you that they're going to be false prophets, they're going to be false teachers, right? And even just for the sake of yourself to be able to come back and teach it again, because a quick testimony, man. I remember when when the Lord first brought me in, right? You got that young zeal, and you want to tell everyone and this, that, and the other, right? But I was in environments when anything I would say would get fact checked, right? And then I would say something, but because I was just parroting, I couldn't then follow up with the defense, right? In fact, there was an individual, right, that was briefly in the camp who used to do that all the time, right? He would bring certain things up to his, I think, believe it was his brother, right? And his brother would ask him a question, but because he was just parroting, right? He didn't fully understand what it was that he was talking about, right? His brother would always cut him, right? And then basically, what would that lead up to? That basically led to that individual basically losing the faith and falling out. Okay, why? Because when it ain't about just blind following, right? It's about what Scripture says: "Be not hearers of the word only, but doers." Right? Hear the word. Those that the Lord has as teachers will go out and teach. But one of the things you got to do to teach is to fully learn, right? To have these things within yourself, Okay, once again, the difference between sitting in the lecture hall and then going back and revising the materials yourself. Okay, so that you yourself can know and be assured, this is what it is that is being spoken here, right? And then it finishes off by saying, knowing of whom thou hast learnt them, right? So once again, not being disrespectful. You'll get certain individuals. I'll just say it like that, right? Who have learned from the apostles, right? But then don't want to give a reverence to the apostles. They just want to make it seem slarky that they got this for themselves when that's just not the case. Okay. And then you know what, just because we're ready a couple of minutes in, I'll just quote the precept, right? And the best example of being respectful, right, that I can think of at this moment anyway, right, is in Second Samuel's 12, 1 through 7, right, where basically the prophet Nathan goes up to King David and basically gets on King David, for committing adultery, right? And then Nathan, he came respectful, right? So once again, I'm starting off with that because just as always, Jake, hear certain things and then think, to be disrespectful, isn't it? Which is not, once again, not at all, what I'm saying, or the spirit I'm trying to come in this video, right? But just to remember the point, right? So it says that this crash was attributed to the pilot's decision to land despite the junior officer's disagreement. Right, basically, the junior officer knew what the first officer was doing, right, and then just didn't really push for anything. It was okay. That's what he wants to do, so that's what we'll do, right? But we're coming into a time when doing that, right, is going to lead to your death, right? Once again, looking at these camps where their leaders are saying we don't know the name of the Lord, their leaders are saying, the MOTB ain't what it really is, okay, and that's going to lead to their death. But what does the scripture say? It says Matthew 15 from 14, right? It says, "Let them alone; they be blind leaders of the blind, and if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch." Right, so they shall go and eventually get destroyed. Right now, I don't actually know what eventually happened with Flight 801. Did it land? Was it a crash landing? I don't know. Maybe it did. Um, but in fact, let me just check real quick. Right. Um, Flight 801. Right. What did it have? I mean, that looks like a fireball. Right. That looks like a fireball. I think, what was it saying? 208. Is that 208? Yeah, killing 229 of the 254 people on board. So some people did survive. Okay. So yeah, some people did survive, but the majority of them, the majority of them died. And you know what? Even just on this linking, right, that I'm doing now, but what did the apostles always say? Right, hey, we believe certain of those people in these other camps are sincere, and maybe they'll be of the elect, right? They'll come out of that, right? Just like how in this particular instance, what was that? At 25 people out of, so 10%, right, basically, of those on board survived. They came out of it alive. Okay, they came out of it alive to be able to tell the story, i.e., they didn't, continue down that ditch to their death, to their destruction. Okay, right. So, in this thing of ours, we're accountable for ourselves. I'm gonna bring this out at the end, but I'll grab it now. So Philippians 2:12, "Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." Right? Because yeah, we've got each other right now, but when it comes down to judgment day, if you will, right, our works is what we're judged by, right? The Lord is going to judge us off of what we've done, right? Yeah, for instance, one of the priests was about to get, right, wants the the Lord deceiving the prophet, right? And then that, for in fact, I'm gonna jump to it now, man. It says Ezekiel 14:9, if the prophet be deceived when he hath spoken a thing, I Yahweh hath deceived that prophet, and I'll stretch out my hand upon him and will destroy him from the midst of my people Israel. Right, and that's it. right? Because here it is, you have the people that are following that prophet, but at the end of the day, both, him and the followers are gonna be destroyed. Because at the end of the day, what did we just read, right? That you got to work out your own salvation. It's not like they're the only ones that are teaching the truth, right? The truth is out there. The truth is available. Okay, this is Job 12:16. With him is wisdom, with strength and wisdom, the deceived and the deceiver are his, right? So the deceived, the prophet that's doing the deceiving, the prophet that is doing the deceiving, right? And the people that are being deceived, right? They're of the Lord. The Lord has set them up, right? So hey, take this and heed it as a warning, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be the 229 that died. You want to be the 25 that survived, man. Right? You'll get certain of them videos where they're saying get out whilst you can, right? Get out whilst you can, man, right? Because these leaders, they're leading you to your destruction. Okay, you can't just be blindly following people. And once again, I find this a very allegoric version of this right here, right? Of the blind following, blind leading the blind. Okay, you got to, let me carry on. This is Acts 17:10. And the brethren immediately sent away Paul and Silas by night unto Berea, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Jews. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so, right? And it was a thing of just like, oh hey, just but the scriptures say that, yo, let me read it. You read it, like, oh man, you read it, and once again you know it for yourself, right? You're able to teach it for yourself, not just being a parrot. Okay, you gotta know it for yourself, because hey, what does scriptures always say? Be ready always to give an answer for the hope that is within you, right? Because if you've just parroting something that you have heard, and then someone asks you a follow, you just say like, people are gonna, that individual that does that, their faith is gonna be rocked. They're gonna be like, as once again we gave the example, right? We had a guy like that in the camp, right? And then what's this one? What have I got here? Right, let me finish off on this. Right, this is Galatians 1:8. But though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which we unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. Right? And that's it as well. Not just what's the word I'm looking for? Not just blindly following, because at the end of the day, that individual, as we read in Ezekiel 14, right, there's a judgment coming for them, right? But once also you as an individual can't be taken by them, right? So let me just read these last two verses and I'll close out. It says, as we said before, so say I now again, right? Let me, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that which ye have received, let him be accursed. Right? Because the reason I paused, because I was like, yo, that's Jake for real. Right? Because Jake will say that, and again, right, or wheel it, or something, you know. So because it's kind of pretty much the same, the same thing said again, right? So I just found that kind of interesting. But once again, just proving that with Jake. Right, so for do I now persuade men or the Most High, or do I seek to please men? For if I yet please men, I should not be the servant of Mashiach, and that's it, right? Pleasing the Most High, right? Reading the scriptures, understanding, and not just blindly following, right? Getting these precepts for yourself, right? Otherwise you're flying into head first into destruction. Okay, so as always, laws all does edifying. Until next time, I say shalom.